Hell, I mean,
using them is
if you're in an area that you're in every day, go look at something that people don't talk about that happens in your town. Like, downtown Winchester is kind of dead, but it's there.
And it's historic. I mean, that's what we're known for. Historic downtown Winchester.
But nobody really focuses on it.
Nobody focuses on it because people are always like, we gotta get out of this town. This town's too small and stuff. But really, downtown Winchester is amazing. It's a gorgeous place.
Yeah, Winchester is small. That's a joke. You've seen Pennsylvania. It's a goddamn street. That's my town.
But, if you take a look, there's carvings up on the walls of the buildings. There's one of the buildings has like the Mason symbol and the all-seeing eye and stuff on the side of it.
Yeah, and our subway.
Our
is
subway.
Amazing.
Subway the store, guys. We don't have a Subway, but the Subway the store.
The Subway, the freaking store where you buy steak and cheese steaks.
It's gorgeous. It's in this really old corner shop setup, and if you look up over top of the door, they have faces carved.
They have angels engraved out of the rock.
And we have a dojo. We have two dojos downtown, and one of them has this beautiful. I love the building because it's got this beautiful red paint to it with white lining, and the
architecture in general.
In Good Company, there is
Good Company. Yeah, we focus on what stores there's a lot of places that storefronts that are actually open for sale, to rent, to lease out, and for Good Company, we actually focus on taking the characters and they're in actual settings. So if you were to come to Winchester and you were a fan of Good Company, you'd be walking right on set.
Yeah, you would love it because it's downtown. It's where their shops are at, because some of them actually own their own businesses in Good Company. And so there's three shops are right together, and there's just one strip in particular that I've just pegged as this is their place. And then there's the shop where I bought my prom gown. It used to be called the little shop where they sold prom gowns and stuff. They've moved since then, but they had this gorgeous window set up. It was on the second floor, and it was a window seat thing, and I loved it. So when we started working on Good Company, I had one of the characters has a shop up there because I wanted that little storefront for him. So it's looking around at things around you and looking at your hometown, looking at the world outside of your hometown, places you've been. If you've taken trips and you don't remember too much, but you've taken pictures, look at the pictures. Google Earth places of interest. Go on photography websites and look up places.
Hell, go to Google, type in a keyword, just a place keyword, and you will be amazed at the shit that you will be inspired by.
Go to image search and start looking.
Oh, God, yeah.
When I started designing the Franz punks, like I said, I don't think I ever talked about this. Okay, the Franz punks, they're all clocks. I don't think I ever actually
said. You talked about how Anton can actually show his clock when he lifts the scarf up.
All of the Franz punks have a slightly different setup from the rest of the crew. All of the crew, of course, has internal mechanisms in their chest area, and that's where they actually operate from. That's what keeps them running.
Eve's crew has hydraulics. Hers has clocks.
But the Franz punks have clocks, and technically the Eve punks are automations or automatons. Which, if you guys have ever looked into anything steampunk or looked into anything from the Victorian era, you'll know what I'm talking about, and go look them up because they're really look up antique or vintage ones, because there's wooden ones too, but that's not what I'm talking about. But the chest pieces, the chest plates for all of the Franz ones are clocks, and I basically, to start getting an idea for what designs I wanted, I just put in pocket watch into, because I wanted to look at pocket watches, into Google, and started looking at designs. So there's different designs. I didn't even know that there were different designs for pocket watches, to the extent that there are. Like Wagner's got a half hunter pocket watch face for his chest, which means half hunter pocket watch face means that it has a hole in the center of it where you can see where the hands are at, but the front of it is engraved with numbers. So it's a metal case, a metal plate that goes over top of the pocket watch, but there's a hole in the middle so you can see where the hands are at still. And but it's just a design aspect. But these sort of things gave me ideas for how to, just by going through Google image search. Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
That wasn't even a sentence, but I tried.
You're gonna make me choke on nutty bars over here.
Fat kid.
Shut up, bitch. You're fatter than I am.
Damn
straight. Yeah, she just did that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway.
I'm chubby like my Franz punks.
Are there any ideas that we've been wanting to brainstorm? We kind of stopped making Stitch punks. We have a couple of crews that still need additions added to them, but in terms of where we are in the story, we're kind of jumping back and forth. because working on RagNBone too much does tend to kind of burn us out. So we have Good Company in play. And Good Company is pretty much where we take the characters of RagNBone, the Stitch Punks, only the Stitch Punks.
The personalities.
And we, not even that, we just kind of take the Stitch Punks, and you know how people make human versions of the 1 to 9 cast. We did that, and we found face actors. And I think it started because I said Carnegie would be Neil Patrick Harris. And we kind of went from there, and pretty much it's them as humans in everyday downtown Winchester, and some of them are actually in New York, and it's just kind of like a TV sitcom. If you guys have ever seen like Friends or Seinfeld, it's really kind of set up like that.
It started as a what if idea, but then we started actually RPing it too. So we actually RP both RagNBone and this. We just have RP. Company. Yeah, and so but Good Company is sort of it's another comic that we're going to be doing, or a comic animation,
kind of an animation TV series that we're going to work with,
and It's the themes are more it's animation, but I would say it's more of animation for adults and teenagers and
I mean it's just like watching a live action sitcom, except it's an animation for us.
It has a lot of strange themes to it, and we've kept a lot of things that are in RagNBone that people may look at and be like, what, when they see it, but
and there's inside jokes, but it is. They're so derivative of each other.
I mean, even the pairings are the same.
Yeah, I mean, but the Good Company is so out there. It's not. It can't even be classified as 9. If we were to, if I were to
start showing you guys stuff from Good Company and stuff,
you would never.
You would be like, what?
You would have no idea. And it's a perfect example of how people can take the fandoms that they love and fan art and all this and branch it into an original work that will and could make them money and will boost their career.
Because, like I said, we love these characters so much, these personalities that we've made, and they just, we didn't want to just drop them. And then the idea
we were like, if we ever got out of the 9 fandom, I couldn't drop them. I could not. These are some of the first characters that I've ever been able to keep.
Yeah, and this is the only time I've ever been able to successfully take characters that I've made for a series and just put them in my own original work and realize that they can stand alone by themselves.
Yeah, and so, I mean,
like she said, totally, completely unrelated to the 9 fandom. It's just that they share some of the traits as far as personality.
It's pretty much the same characters, yeah. But, and I mean, even they change their traits based because they're in a different environment. Entirely.
Because they've had a different environment, they've had a different lifestyle, they've had different things happen to them because they've grown up. You know, Stitch Punks grow up with a very limited world when you look at socially. When it comes to humans, we grow up with all kinds of people in our world. So with them, they've had so many interactions.
The family connections.
They have family connections. They've had all these social things that have occurred to them through the past. I mean, you can actually have even sadder backgrounds for some of these. It sounds so terrible, but
yeah, it is. I mean, we still keep
it allows
a lot of things.
It allows you to give back histories to okay, I'm going to give something away here, but it's not major. It's just a little bit of history for, like, Anton.
Oh, Anton's fine. I think Anton and Emery at this point, they're kind of out there.
Basically, like, Anton, you know, in RagNBone, obviously, he's never had a chance to really date anybody because...
The poor guy has such a bad relationship history. It's sad.
There's nobody that he can date in RagNBone, but in Good Company, he's had a run of girlfriends, and they use him. Let's put it that way. He gets used a lot because he's a very nice guy. So I'm able to use that in Good Company, but I couldn't use that in RagNBone because there's nobody he can date. Everybody's either paired up or they're not paired up, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it works. Then you've got I'm trying to think of some of the other characters.
Carnegie and Juilliard. Carnegie and Juilliard are a really good representation of how personalities can flip.
Yeah.
In RagNBone, Carnegie is kind of the more reserved kind of. He can be outgoing once you start talking about his interests.
Yeah.
But when he doesn't want to go out and immediately meet people, he's not that kind of guy.
He's not very social.
Yeah. It's more so you have to push somebody to him in order for him to start talking. And you have to be on a subject of interest before he'll actually start talking.
Yeah.
Whereas in Good Company, he's
a complete and total social hermit.
Yeah, and I mean, he's reserved, but at the same time, if you try talking to him, he will snap. He is a bitch when he wants to.
Doesn't even matter if it's on topic of interest at that point in time. He doesn't want to talk to you.
He just really doesn't. He doesn't want anything to do with any of you.
Juilliard.
That would be my alarm.
Juilliard went from being like in RagNBone.
I was supposed to wake up at this time.
In RagNBone, she's more she's very. Oh God, how do you even? I don't even know how to describe Julie.
Oh,
in
Julie.
In RagNBone.
Julie in RagNBone, she's an outright bitch. If things don't go her way, the only one she can really go to is Carnegie because their interests are the same. So they're kind of their little partners in crime. They understand
each other. Yeah. And so
and I mean, it's one of those I hate you and I love you at the same time relationships. And in Darren pushed another Twitter.
In Good Company.
In Good Company, it's kind of the same effect.
Well, first of all,
they
didn't know each other in Good Company. We covered their introduction of meeting each other's story, which is kind of awesome. But because you get to do things with the character you never did before. So then you've got the fact that she
oh my God, they yell at each other. It's insane.
They really hate each other at
Whereas
first.
in RagNBone, she has to talk a certain way.
They hate each other at first, but they respect each other too. It's like they can't stand one another.
Tolerance. It's really tolerance.
But they both recognize that well, you're the only person I can talk to at my job, so I might as well do so.
Yeah, it's one of those. We try to branch out with Good Company specifically. We try to branch out into all those little wonderful relationships you love and you hate on DeviantArt, on forums, in real life, at your work, at home.
We cover those terrible coworkers.
We try to cover as much as possible, and we try to even throw in intentionally some stereotypes.
We try to people our world with real people.
Yeah.
With things that
whether
you
it's RagNBone or Good
see.
Company, we try to push as much realism into it by looking at everything around us because we know if that exists in the real world, we can totally use this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of goes back to the whole, hey, just work with what you know.
Yeah.
But in terms of ideas that we've been brainstorming for RagNBone specifically, we're kind of at a point where it's more so of the climax and just kind of straight build up, climax, and then end. And we're still in the build up. But
yeah, we're really on build up because we still have a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, when we first got the idea of Good Company, we kind of, since we were so burnt out on RagNBone, it's not even burnt out. It's just kind of stop in a way.
Well, we have so much to catch up on the comic as far as actually drawing it first, so it's kind of like I want to get that part done, and then we can take it up again and start role-playing it again.
Because guys, I mean, our role-play that is making up the script for this comic is literally 9,000 printed pages long. We tried printing out the whole motherfucking thing.
And realized it's just not going to work. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, this is too much. Let's stop. Go to the start, let me print out a few pages for the role play, let me go to work, and I'll edit it as I go along. We'll come back, I'll storyboard out what I personally think should be going up there. If you want to make any changes, since you're the artist, make changes as necessary, add frames, delete frames, whatever. But this is a general idea. We have a whiteboard and we have a corkboard over here that has just storyboards everywhere.
She's cut out all of her
storyboards
and stuck them up on the wall.
And we just kind of run with it. We're still, it's not a set thing. I make the storyboards how I personally see it in my head as a film. I put it up on the wall. She takes them, and I don't have to talk to her. I just let her draw out what she interprets the
unless I cannot figure out what the hell.
Because I do stick figures. I do. When it comes to storyboards, I just do stick figures and emoticons.
But she gives expressions so well, and
I do emoticons.
That one with Brad.
But we'll post up some of the storyboard. Don't worry.
You need to post the one with
and
Brad.
And then the finished version. Yeah. But I mean, in general, we don't set anything in stone at all whatsoever. It doesn't matter how far along we are, and I've noticed a lot of people in the 9 community, once they have a character set, they don't want to change it at all.